Tere to everybody. Welcome. Thank you, Tonis, for the introduction. On this presentation, as I'm from Veeam, so of course we will talk about the Veeam products, about the Veeam portfolio. I will give you some overview about the recent announcements, about the recent updates for the products, but also we will look a little bit in the last, I don't know, from beginning of the year, what we released to give you the high level picture, what we are working on or what we done so far. Of course, if there are any questions, feel free to ask it during the presentation. Of course, we can also do it on the end. But before we will go to the what's new stuff, I would like to go with some sentence from Satya Nadella. He is the Microsoft CEO. Who said this sentence like early last year, that we have seen 2 years worth of digital transformation in just 2 months. I would even modify this, that we have seen a decade worth of the digital transformation in last 2 years. So for the last 2 years, like there was during this pandemic, the digital transformation which happened. A lot of people don't have any objection to working from home, to make the online event. It's much easier right now than last year or 2 years ago. Yeah, so I hope you would agree that this digital transformation helps us, and also because a lot of people move they task, their style, how they are working, to more and more IT solution, then of course that IT solution have to be protected. Please remember that protection of the data is always on the end, because you try to prevent the issue, but if the issue happens, then you try to recover them. Yeah? So please remember that on the flow of the data recovery is always on the end. And regarding our portfolio, so on which area we are working, so mainly our main product is the backup and recovery, yes, with our main product backup and replication. But that's the main area, so that's why here is the biggest tile. But of course, beside the backup and the replication, the recovery, we also offering the monitoring, so some monitoring, some kind of the orchestration. So if you have several data centers and you want to fail over from one data center to another, then you can very easy to do it with our tools, with our offerings, and also data reuse. So if you have backups, very often administrators or general IT departments treat backups like the auto casco for the car, as the insurance policy. Yeah, so if you have auto casco, so if you will driving and not using it because you're praying, yeah, I don't want to use it because I don't break my shiny car, I want to have it completely. So the same people very often treat the backups. So they have the backup products, but they won't know, I don't want to use the backup product because I don't want to have the issue to occur. And then they are not using the backup only for research if something happens. So, but we are also giving the option to utilize that backup, like for some testing environment or some other. So somehow to reuse that data for some data analytics, something like this. And in which area we are working? Of course, in the local data centers, on the on-prem environments, in the public cloud, it can be any other clouds with some offerings from service providers with some backup as a service or disaster recovery as a service. And we can protect, of course, physical infrastructure with some local Windows, Linux. We have agents for Windows, agent for Linux. Of course, virtual, I think this is the biggest currently on the market area with the virtual machines where we can protect databases, software as a service with, for example, Office 365 and cloud products. We end with the cloud offering. We can divide it on or look on this on two different angles. One is when we have data in a local data center, we can send them additional copy. We can send them to the cloud and keep one of the copies in the cloud. But from the other way, very often we can change the direction. So the main data center, our main data center can be in the cloud. For example, you can have virtual machine in the Azure, in the AWS, in the Google Cloud, or any other. And then maybe we want to back up the data from the cloud to the local data center, and maybe even restore them to the local data center. Yeah, so that's the area. And before we'll go, what's new in the recent, I would say even weeks, or what we are planning for the future. So let's briefly remind what we released this year and for the first half of the year. So in beginning of the year, in the February, we released our flagship product, Veeam Backup and Replication and Veeam One. Yes, but both of them create Veeam Availability Suite. So that's was our main product with the new continuous data protection feature, with the new immutable repository where we can store the repository with the warm way. Yeah? So write once, read many. So we can save the data, but if hacker or some ransomware or somebody will try to destroy that storage because of the encryption or because of something other activities, then we can protect. And of course, few more. We have new free edition of the agents, Veeam agent for Windows, Veeam agent for Linux. We have new agent for Mac. We have several new plugins for for Airman, for SAP HANA in different environment. Availability console is the product I just mentioned it to for organizing, for helping with the replication between data centers, and in case of disaster to orchestrate the switching from one data center to the another. So you can switch, like make the cluster fail over from one host to the another host, from one virtual machine to the another virtual machine, but orchestrator can help you to switch from one data center to another data center. Yeah, so data center like as the cluster, we can even say. And beside this, we have total new, brand new product for Veeam Backup for Google Cloud Platform in version 1. So with that product, it was standalone product. We could with version 1 make the backup of the virtual machine and protect the cloud products. And we also had in the beginning of the year a second version of Veeam Backup for Azure. So with that version, with that product, we can backup for virtual machine in Azure cloud, and in version 2 allow us to centrally manage from Veeam Backup and Replication. So from one console, you could see local VMware, Hyper-V backup jobs, but also Azure virtual machine backup jobs, and also centrally managed licensing. So from one place you can manage. And regarding the service provider console, so it's the new addition for service providers for easier to give the more flexible, more options for the customers for serving the services based on the Veeam engine under the hood. Yeah, so like the backup as a service, disaster recovery as the service. So that's so that was in the some kind of the recap what we have in the last year. But what we have this half of the year, even like the most of these products you can see was released in last 1 week or last 2 weeks was released. So first, like in the first half of the year, we have version 11 for Veeam Backup and Replication or Veeam Availability Suite. Now we have 11a. So it's not the big change, but the small changes. The main updates are regarding the platform. So we support latest version of the Hyper-V, so Windows Server 2022, as the virtual machine, as the Hyper-V, or as the host for the Veeam components. Very soon, it's not released yet, but within several days, within a couple of days, we will have next edition for Veeam Backup for Office 365 version 6. In a few seconds, I will give you more. Currently we will have the Veeam Backup for Red Hat virtualization. It's also brand new product. We have next edition for our cloud offering. So we'll have version 4 for backup for AWS, version 3 for Azure, the second version for Google Cloud Platform, and also as we are updating this, so this will also be able, our service provider will be able to offer through the service provider console. So regarding to be more precise, what's inside that Veeam Backup and Replication 11a. So first, integration with Google Cloud Platforms, with the management. So now with Veeam Backup and Replication from one place, you can manage that external product with version. So as I mentioned, was version 2 for Google Cloud Platform, but this was required some updates, modification on VBR. I didn't mention earlier because I started with the recap from this year, but now let's say there's anniversary. So last year, the same time of the year, we acquired a company called Kasten with their product K10. So Kasten was specializing in backup of the Kubernetes. So now 11a will let VBR to integrate with the Kasten product. Of course, from the Kasten, there is still required the update, which also will be within several days. Then we'll be able to manage the jobs, the backups, some interaction to see that backups for Kubernetes. So if you in your environment, if there are some Docker containers, or I don't know, OpenShift containers, or some cloud containers, you can protect them with this custom component, and with 11a, you will be able to see that backup in one console. Red Hat virtualization. Regarding Red Hat virtualization, it was already released. It's the final version of the first edition. But if you will remind, how we go with the first edition of our other product, like first edition of Veeam Backup for Windows, for Veeam Agent for Windows. That in that time it was called Endpoint, was for free. First edition of Veeam Backup for Office 365 was for free. This time, so backup for Red Hat virtualization, that edition is also for free, but just for the nomenclature, we are trying now to just call it public beta, but there is fully supported on the production environment by our support, and it's for free with the change block tracking. So we want to make the code more mature, but we are giving fully working components, and the set of the feature for this Red Hat virtualization backups are exactly the same like we have for Nutanix backup. If you know, so regarding virtualization, we are supporting VMware backup, Hyper-V backup, and Nutanix Acropolis hypervisor backups. So Red Hat virtualization will have some similar set of the features like Nutanix in first edition. Yeah? Now backup for Nutanix is much higher edition. There are also some improvements regarding CDP backups. Yeah? So it's mainly supporting more in the hyper-convergent infrastructure scenario, like with the vSAN, vVols, something like this. New addition, of course, for the agents. And the cool thing is maybe for bigger environment or more advanced environment, if some of you have AX and infrastructure or Solaris, now with backup and replication, you can remotely manage those agents, because previously we have the agent, but they were standalone. You couldn't manage them remotely. Now with version 11a, you can manage remotely such agents. And Nutanix instant recovery within version 11a, with that update which goes to the Nutanix backup Acropolis hypervisor. We're also giving the instant recovery exactly the same like we have for VMware, we have for Hyper-V. Now we are adding that feature also for Nutanix. So it's possible now to also within few seconds, several seconds, boot up virtual machine from the backup on the Nutanix host with all of the conversions. So also you can make the conversion from between the hypervisors. Yeah, so this is what I mentioned. So new regarding the Windows agent is that we support Windows Server 2022. We also we can say that we support also desktop edition, yeah, so Windows 11, and this management for IBM iX and Oracle Solaris operating system with our agent. Regarding CDP, so continuous data protection, just reminder for those of you who don't know that feature, this is the replication for the VMware virtual machine based on the seconds. So the smallest interval you can put in such replication policy is 2 seconds. So within 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, you can, with such frequency, you can set up replication between one ASXi host and another ASXi host. And then, of course, later you can you have much more granularity how you want to recover. You can just few seconds before your, I don't know, hacker hit your infrastructure, or you get so your malware start encrypting your data, so you can very granularly remove it. And first edition version 11 was just for the mainly for the classic setups with the shared storage. Now we are enhancing with the vSAN environment, so it's much more mature. And this instant recovery, I already as I mentioned, so you can make the instant recovery cloud virtual machine, so virtual machine for the Azure, Google Cloud, AWS, or VMware or Hyper-V. You can, or from Nutanix, you can restore that machine with this instant recovery way to Acropolis host. Okay. Kasten, just a reminder that so this is the product for our container backups, and with the 11a we have integration between Veeam backup and replication in the Kasten from the VBR side, and from the Kasten with version 4.5 we'll have the integration from the Kasten K10 side regarding the protection of the backup. Just also reminder, Kasten can let you protect containers, not only the persistent storage, but also the metadata for the containers. If you have some deployment secrets, config maps, then also you can protect. So let's imagine that you have 1,000 of the containers with, I don't know, 200 of the secrets when you are storing some passwords for the applications, and half of these secrets are deleted somehow, yeah, but because of some accidentally commit from the developer. So you can sometimes can be easier to restore it from the backup than redeploy those containers. Regarding the Office 365 and the upcoming update, version 6, the biggest update, the biggest feature we'll have in that release will be self-service portal. So right now we have a backup for Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, OneDrive, Teams with all the metadata for the team. So if you have the team or the channel and somebody will delete it, we can restore it already now. But with version 6, we will give the web-based portal, self-service portal, where user can log on and can restore the data with their own Azure AD credentials, and then they will be from last restore point for email or some document for OneDrive or whatever they have in Office 365 base. What we backup, and also some archive tiers, so some additional options for storing the data. So you'll be able to keep the data on the local storage. You'll be able to data in the cloud storage, like for example Azure Blob or AWS S3 or S3 compatible, but you will be able to make some kind of the tiering. So this object storage, like the Azure Blob, will be as the first stage, like the short-term backup. I don't know, daily or weekly backup, but monthly or yearly backup we will send to the archive tier. Yeah, depending on the settings. And regarding the offering, which of the cloud offering, this new product, we have with AWS version 3 for Azure and Google Cloud Platform, so GCP version 2. So you can also see how they were offered. So first, of course, was on the market we have for AWS and so on. So each of the cloud, one of the cloud is one version behind the other cloud. And what's new in each of these versions? So regarding AWS, what we could do in version 3, we could make the backup for virtual machines, so for EC2. We could make the backup for RDS, so databases, and we could make backup for VPC, so some kind of the settings, how the firewall or routing rule are set up. So we could backup. Now with version 4, we will be able to make up EFS, so Elastic File System, so the file shares. We will support if you decide to protect the backup, to encrypt the backups. Previously, you have to manually set up the encryption key. Right now, there's still possibility for this, but additionally, we are adding support for KMS, so key management system for centrally managing within the AWS for this encryption, and also archive tier is also here, so you can older backup or for long-term perspective backups you can store on the cheaper storage, yeah, with the on the archive storage. Regarding the Azure backup, what's new? I think the biggest new, the plenty of customers were asking for this regarding the from the customers if they were using Azure SQL backup. So previously with version 2 we were able to backup virtual machines. So if there was SQL inside virtual machines, that was okay, that was what we could backup. But right now we can backup SQL from platform as a service offering. So if there is Azure SQL, managed, unmanaged, doesn't matter, we are able to backup such SQL. Additionally to this, we can support multi-subscription, because previously, if you had multiple subscription and you want to have different accounts for each subscription, then you had to set up different Veeam console for each subscription. But right now you can, with one console, have the backup subscription connected to multiple production subscription. Azure Key Vault is also option for making for centrally managed encryption for backup. So now in Azure Key Vault, you can set up this and centrally manage the encryption. And Azure Blob Archive is similar like for the other products. We're also giving this for more flexible options for storing the data. Next product I want to bring to your attention is Google Cloud Platform version 2. So you can expect that we added the features what we added in version 2 for Azure or version 2 for AWS. So now it can be integrated with backup and replication, and this can be also centrally managed by Veeam Backup and Replication, and also license. So if you have the license for virtual machines within VBR, from that VBR installation, you can manage and assign the licenses to the cloud. And right now in this edition, it's still only for virtual machines in the Google Cloud Platform, but of course we are working on the other workloads to add it in the future, and also Cloud Archive storage, REST API for some automation. This is what is added in version 2. Okay, okay, and next I would like to make some small announcement. Maybe you could hear if you was browsing for the on our social media, so maybe you could hear this. If not, then this would be some new announcement for you. So coming soon, we'll have new cloud offering. We will have Veeam Backup for Salesforce, which will help us to protect, will give you, if some of you are using Salesforce for sales automation, then we will give you the tools for protecting also Salesforce data, and later, of course, restore it. That's regarding the Salesforce backup. And to make some summary, so please remember that Veeam currently in EMEA region, so in the Europe, we are #1 for the backup, and we are always trying to be the most trusted provider for backups, recoveries, and the management of that data in case of data protection. Yeah, so that's what we trying to achieve. That's all from me. Thank you, and Aitach,